about variety feeding and rotational feeding when it comes to giving your dog food and making the choices that you're going to make for your pup for food. Now, traditionally, people are going to do a little bit of research. They're going to pick one type of food, typically a kibble, and that is what their dog is going to eat. Sometimes they get snacks, sometimes they get some extra things, but it's typically they pick that brand, they pick that specific type and flavor of dog food, and then that's it for the rest of the dog's life, unless they change the ingredients or they have some kind of allergy that they develop. It's pretty much you pick one or two, maybe three brands for the course of your dog's entire life, and that's what they eat as their main source of food. Variety feeding and rotational feeding is a little bit different, and there's actually some very interesting logic and benefits behind it. So today's conversation is just what I'm doing for my dog. I want you to take notes, get ideas, and then go talk to your vet or your dog nutritionist about this. I'm not a vet, I'm not a dog nutritionist. This is just what I'm doing for my dogs so that you can then have an informed and educated conversation with your professionals to make a good decision for your dog. So rotational feeding is when you pick multiple brands, multiple types of food, and then you rotate through them. Now, the logic behind this is a couple of different things, starting with dogs tend to be picky. If your dog is picky, they're not going to eat a food that they don't like. If they get bored easily with that food and you just keep feeding them that food, that's going to impact their health. Additionally, it's going to impact their health because they're only exposed to so much. This can lead to allergies for your dog. So if your dog only eats this one thing, that could lead to allergies of other things. That happened to me as a human. There were certain foods that I didn't eat. And as an adult, I've developed allergies to things like onions. And I developed allergies to certain types of like chocolate and candies. And it's weird, but because I didn't have that exposure to it, because I wasn't eating them because I didn't like those things, I developed an allergy to it, and your dogs can as well. Likewise, if they have too much of something, they can develop an allergy to that. I actually have an aunt who developed an allergy to whey because for a period of time, she was doing a lot of things created with whey in them, and she developed that allergy, and now she can't have them. So having one type of dog food can lead to more allergies, but it also exposes them to very specific types of food over and over again. So if there's any chemicals or problems or certain types of ingredients, if your dog has 13 years of exposure to this thing, that can impact their health dramatically. But you also have to remember that eating the same thing all the time isn't going to be good for a human. If you were only allowed to eat Cheetos for the rest of your life, that's going to impact your health. It allows you to live, but it doesn't allow you to thrive. And so processed things like kibble can be a bit of a problem. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can't feed those types of things to your dogs, but rotational feeding means that you're using different brands, different types, different flavors, different things, so that it's constantly moving through different types of food. And that way, you're not having prolonged exposure to something that could potentially be a problem, potentially be harmful, potentially cause allergies or other problems for your dogs. And so typically what we'd see with rotational feeding is that you're going to get like one brand and you're going to have them on it for a little while. And then when they get through that bag, you're going to switch into the next thing. And you're going to do that very slowly. So you're going to start with one type of food, feed it to your dog, and as you're getting a little bit lower, you're going to mix it with another type of food so that their tummies get used to it, because if they're on one type of food all the time, you're not going to be able to just free feed them things because it will cause tummy upset and a lot of things going on internally that you don't want your dog to have to go through. So you have to slowly mix those things together and wean them off of one and onto the next. And so they're just rotating through a couple of different things. And that's a great way for you to expose them to different things, keep them from getting bored, and making sure that you are getting the health benefits that they are going to need from the food that they are eating. Now, variety feeding is a little bit more than that. Variety feeding means you've got a bunch of different things and you just mix and match. Variety feeding is what we do as humans. We're eating some from here and some from here and some from here, and we're kind of going through all these different things, but it also means that we can consume things without them causing us tummy troubles. We are not going to be subjected to one thing for a prolonged period of time and then suddenly switch over and have that, not react very well. So with variety feeding, you are going to have multiple things that you're giving your dogs, and you're just going to kind of change things out. So one day you might have this, the next day you might have that. So for us, what I do is I've got a salmon kibble from Jinx that I use for my dogs. I also have unkibble from Spot and Tango, which is my main draw. This is what I typically like to give them because it's a little bit healthier for dogs. It's a really great thing. We've got lots of videos on it. I'll link some of those down below for you. Very much like those two types of food. And those are kind of the staple for my dog, but I rotate things in and out. I also make sure for all of their meals, they're getting different things: fruits, vegetables, supplements, extra things that are going to help them. And so variety feeding means one day maybe you are feeding them the spot and tango on kibble, and the next day you are using a kibble as a base. Maybe the next day you're giving them some raw stuff. Maybe the next day you are going to be giving them a mixture of a couple of different kinds of things. And you're going to bounce from one thing to the next because your dog's tummies have now been conditioned to accept a variety of foods. Because you have them on a lot of foods, you can give them whatever, whenever, without it causing a lot of problems. So it depends on what you want to do and how you want to do it. I understand a lot of this comes with research. A lot of this comes with your dog's allergies. A lot of this comes with a financial burden on it. And so you want to do the best that you can for your dog. And you've seen all over TikTok, all over YouTube, there are vets who are saying even adding in a little bit of that healthier food, 15%, 10% a day, is going to help increase your dog's health and increase potentially their lifespan as well. So adding in things like celery and cucumbers and eggs and stuff that are going to bolster their systems is a great idea. The best that you can do for your dog right now is the best that you can do. And so we're not listening to a lot of those angry voices saying you have to feed your dog this way and you have to do this. You're going to do what's best for your dog. So if you are able, I want you to be adding in some good things, swapping out some of those processed things for less processed things, and giving your dog the ability to have access to more things so they're not just limited to one thing all the time. So whether you are just traditional feeding your dog, or you are doing rotation feeding, or you're doing variety feeding like I am, where I'm taking a bunch of different things and giving them different things on different days, but I do kind of have a base to what I'm doing so that even if I can't do the things that I normally do, I know that they can be on unkibble and they can be on the Jinx kibble and be totally fine. Whatever you can do for your dog, that is going to be what you can do right now. And you can change and grow and do new things as you have the ability to in the future. I really personally like variety feeding because it means that whatever I have access to is what I can give my dogs. So if I have to pull back on like their expensive food one month, that's fine. It's not going to upset their tummies. It's not going to cause a problem. I just give them a little bit less and a little bit more of something else. If it means that I, did something really cool and I've got some extra money and I can then cook my dog's food, like nice, healthy, good food, I can spend a little bit more and it's not going to hurt their tummies. I have flexibility in my schedule. And that really is why I lean into variety feeding over everything else, because it's the flexibility to do whatever I need to for my dogs in the moment. And rotational feeding helps you to be a little more flexible as well. Whereas traditional feeding kind of gives you a little bit more of a pigeonhole place to be in, but you can do whatever you need to do, whatever's going to be best for your dog. Now, as I said before, talk to your vet, talk to your dog nutritionist to see what's going to be best for your dog, for your dog's breed, for your dog's allergies, for all of those things. Have those conversations. But what I have learned on social media, and this is just my little caveat, it's like my personal little caveat to this. There's not necessarily, don't say she had proof of this. Just run with this, okay? I have been told by a lot of dog nutritionists and people who are selling dog food and things like that, that the vets are educated by the kibble companies and they don't necessarily have a lot of education on different types of food, the fresh food, the raw food, all of those things. So maybe make sure you're getting your information from multiple sources and verifying it before you just blindly take the word of your vet who was educated by the dog food companies who are doing like the expensive medicated dog food type things, prescription dog foods. Just do some research before and then have the conversation, put all that in there, and then make the decisions on how you are going to be feeding your dog. Everybody always says, feed the dog in front of you. Okay, I'm not judging you. I know some people on the internet will, but I'm not going to judge you. Do the best you can for your dog with what you've got right now. Make good decisions and then grow as you can and do all the things to make sure you're giving your dog the best life possible. And that is all we can ask for you. Take care of the dog that you have, do the best that you can, and I am proud of you no matter what you're going to be doing. And take some of this into consideration for things you can do now, things you can do in the future, or little tweaks that you can make just to help elevate your dog's nutrition right now, even if you can't completely redefine what you're going to be doing. Little tiny tweaks like giving them some fruits and vegetables and eggs and things like that can make a really big impact, even though it's just a small amount. So do your research, see what's going to work best for you. I have linked my dog's food down below, at least the two bases that I typically use. And then I go shopping at the grocery store. You can do that there, but I will link the ones down below. I'll also put our playlist so that you can learn a little bit more. And we drop daily videos helping you navigate the world of being a dog parent so you can level up for your pup guilt-free, no judgment, making sure that you are helping to just do small things to increase your life with your dog. And so we'll see you in tomorrow's video.